Ladies and gentlemen, imagine today was the end of the world. You're probably picturing violent explosion, smoke clinging to the sky like a stubborn leech, and humanity gasping its final breath as civilization turns into nothingness. But what if the end of the world doesn't approach like that at all? What if it happens slowly? The truth is, destruction rarely announces itself with sirens or collapsing skies. It often creeps forward in silence, hidden within the habits we excuse and the choices we dismiss. We tell ourselves there's always more time to change, more time to repair, more time to care. But as we delay, the damage deepens. Problems go quietly beneath the surface until they're too large to ignore. And by the time consequences reveal themselves, they're no longer warnings, they are realities. And perhaps the most dangerous assumption we make is believing that someone else will have to deal with all of these consequences later. But as a young person, that idea bothers me. Because later is not just an abstract moment in time. Later is the future for my generation. Later is the point in my life where we, the youth, will have to deal with all of the catastrophes like unsteady climates or the collapse of global ecosystem. Actions not taken now may be the source of disaster for us then. Humanity has always had the ability to create extraordinary progress. We have built nations, discovered cures, advanced technology, and connected the world previous generations could never imagine. But yet, instead of using that progress to strengthen society, we often go against one another. Conflict consumes the energy that could have been used to heal, build, and strengthen society. But what troubles me the most is that the conflict rarely ends when the fighting stops. Its consequences can last for years. Schools close down, hospitals collapse under pressure, economies weaken, communities fracture. It usually lasts for decades, and those decades belong to my people. It is us who will have to rebuild nations and undo the damage that has been inflicted. It is the unwanted and Herculean weight that gets thrust on us simply because we are the people of later. This is seen in families forced to flee their homes, in children surrounded by fear and not stability, in parents struggling to find food, clean water, and safety for the people they love. Right now, we can see this happening in Sudan. Tonight, many parents will put their children into bed knowing they are safe. They will wake up tomorrow expecting life to be usual, normal. But for families in Sudan, they don't have that certainty. For countless of parents in Sudan, every single day is filled with difficult questions like, will there be enough food? Will it be safe enough? Will their children be able to continue their education? Just imagine you're a student where your school closes down because of violence you had no role in creating. And when I think of children that have to go through this reality, I cannot help but ask, how many futures are being changed already before they even began? No child chooses to be born in conflict. No parent chooses to see their children or family suffer. But millions are being forced to go through this reality without it being the problem they created. And there is why the reason why humanity created something known as the doomsday clock. This is not a clock that predicts the future, it is a warning. It's a symbol created by scientists to represent how close our world is to global catastrophe. Midnight represents disaster. The closer the hands are to midnight, the greater the danger facing our world. On 27th January 2026, the clock ticked. It is now currently set to 85 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been. But what worries me is not the clock itself, but it's the fact that despite all the warnings we get, we still continue life as if we have eternity, as if someone else will have to deal with these consequences, as if the bill will never arrive. As societies struggle under pressure, the natural world begins to suffer alongside them. Forests are cut down to meet growing demands. Rivers become polluted. Land is overused. Habitats disappear. Animals lose places to live, hunt, and reproduce. The Javan rhino, the Amur leopard, the Galapagos penguin, the orangutan, these are not just majestic creatures. These are species struggling for survival. Species that once thrived are forced into extinction. And if we continue on our current path, the future generations may never see them in the wild. They may only know them in museum displays or faded photographs, wondering why we let them disappear and share the same fate as the dodos. It's an extinct bird, by the way. And what troubles me is that environmental damage often works slowly. At first, the damage may seem local. A disappearing forest here, a polluted river there, but ecosystems are greatly connected. When one begins to fail, the effects spread further outward. The damage done today may last for years and not reveal itself. By the time those consequences become impossible to ignore, it will be my people who will be forced to live with them. And when environmental balance is lost, the consequences reach every single one of us. The forests that once absorbed carbon dioxide disappear, leaving more harmful gases into the atmosphere. Rivers and oceans become polluted, reducing the ability to regulate climate. Temperature rises. Weather patterns become harsher and less predictable. Stronger storms, longer droughts, rising sea levels, wildfires, food shortages, water insecurity. Climate change is often described as the problem of the future. But for young people, the future is not some distant place. It's a place that we'll spend most of our life in. The more I learn about conflict, environmental destruction, climate change, the more I realize they have something in common. The people who least contribute to creating the problem are usually the people who are forced to suffer from it the most. And that is why I am bothered. Because decisions shaping tomorrow are being made today. Yet those people making those decisions will never be there to experience all of it. My generation will. We will inherit the rising temperatures. We will inherit the damaged ecosystems. We will inherit the instability caused by conflict that continues long after the fighting ends. This is not about blaming one generation. It's about recognizing responsibility and taking action. As Greta Thunberg said in her speech, the one thing we need more than hope is action. When we take action, hope is everywhere. So instead of looking for hope, take action. Then and only then, hope will come. So after hearing all of this, perhaps the real question is not the end of the world. The real question is, what kind of world are we leaving behind? The end of the world may not come as one sudden catastrophe. It may arrive quietly, through forests left empty, through oceans filled with pollutions, through homes destroyed by floods, through communities broken by conflict and fear. And by the time the damage is recognized, we will realize that what ended the world was not one single disaster, but millions of moments where humanity chose not to care. But the opposite is also true. Change can begin with millions of moments where people chose to care. Yes, we may not be able to solve everywhere. We may not be able to solve climate change overnight, but we can choose not to ignore these problems. We can choose to take action. We can choose to care. Thank you so much for listening.